Hello, welcome back to my channel. What a crazy year it's been. I have not been posting as many long form videos on here as I'd like because I have been focusing on short form content, my business, traveling, doing lots of really cool and exciting things in 2023. I'm really grateful for everything that 2023 has brought me, and I am so pumped for 2024. Part of why I'm excited about 2024 is because I have a goal to post at least one YouTube video every month, and not just YouTube shorts, a long form video like this. I'm telling you about it right now because hopefully that'll help me stick to that goal a little better. So in the upcoming year, you can expect food videos, maybe day in my life vlogs, travel vlogs for sure, and just other random things that I want to upload. The reason why I'm making today's video though is because I read a bunch of books in 2023 and I've seen a lot of movies. I think I read more books this year than I have in a really long time. It's so hard for me to come up with a definitive, detailed ranking, but I did want to share with you my top books and movies of 2023 and some honorable mentions. Let's get into books first. If you're seeing a light coming in and out on my face, it's because I took notes on my iPad. So I think this year I read about 36 books, which by the way, if you want to look at more detailed reviews of all the books that I read this year and some from last year, I'm linking my Goodreads account in the description of this video so you can totally go check that out later. Again, I'm really bad at making a ranking, but I did categorize all the books that I read this year into a few categories. Forgettable / bad, so-so, really good, honorable mentions, and top tier. These are personal favorites of mine from this year, and they might not have all come out this year, but I think some of them did. For the sake of this video, we're gonna skip the bottom 3 categories. So let's start with my honorable mentions. These are in no particular order, by the way. First up, we have Making a Scene, which is Constance Wu's memoir. I found this to be such a beautiful collection of stories and essays that Constance wrote. It really helped me understand her a lot better, and I feel like she's so much like me in that obviously we're both Taiwanese American, but we have these big emotions. Thanks to therapy, I've been able to regulate them a little bit more, but throughout my life I've always felt so dramatic and like I feel all these big feelings, and sometimes I act on those big feelings and things don't pan out how I want. Constance talks about a lot of those kinds of instances in her book and just ways that she's overcome things, and I just thought it was a really gorgeous book. The second book in my honorable mentions list is Free Food for Millionaires by Min-Jin Lee. You might know this author from Pachinko, but I believe this is her debut novel. Really long, I listened to it as an audiobook, but I loved it. The third book in this category is All My Knotted Up Life by Beth Moore. I feel like sometimes it just takes a really good testimony to bring you back to a place of worship and thanking the Lord for everything that he's done and all his faithfulness. This is a book that did that for me, and I cried reading it. Next book in this category is Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. Celeste also wrote Little Fires Everywhere and Everything I Never Told You, which is one of my favorite books of all time. This is not as good as Everything I Never Told You in my opinion, but it also made me cry. And the last book in this category is Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. I loved this book, except the ending. Without giving anything away, I feel like they wrapped everything up in the ending really quickly, and this book would have been on my top tier list if not for that. Now, my top tier books. The first book in my top tier category is The Liberators by E.J. Koh. Honestly, this is a book that I randomly picked up at the library because I thought it looked interesting. It is so gorgeously written. This book follows a Korean family that emigrates to the United States, and it tells the story of a few different generations in this family. So beautifully written, great story, and there's a chapter in it about a dog that makes me cry. The next book in this category is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I really enjoyed all the twists and turns of this book, and unfortunately I tried to give the Hulu show a shot. I thought it was so bad. If you are interested at all in the story, and I'm not going to spoil anything, do not watch the show, just read the book. The next book in this category is Imposter Syndrome and Other Confessions of Alejandra Kim by Patricia Park. This book really gave me a lot more empathy for my younger teenage self, and I just think this book has so much heart. You might be wondering why the protagonist of the book is named Alejandra Kim. Without saying anything, I think that should give you a clue as to what kind of identity crisis this character might have, and all the different things that she's trying to figure out about herself throughout the course of the book. 2 more books in this category. The next one is Soundtracks by John Acuff. I've read a number of self-help books over the years. This is probably the book that has stuck with me the most. It's not just about saying positive things to yourself or simply believing that you can do things that are hard. It really helped me analyze why my inner monologue is the way that it is and how to change it so that it's not only more positive, but that it's useful for me. This is a book I actually feel like I might try to listen to at the start of every year. And the last book in my top tier category is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This just might be one of my favorite books of all time. I feel like people either love this book or think it's really overrated. I listened to the audiobook version, which I think enhanced the experience for me. Essentially, if you don't know anything about it, it's about these 2 people who spend basically all their lives together. They meet when they're very young, and they love video games, and at first they start off playing video games together and then they go on to make their own. But it's about so much more than that, and I've heard from many people who don't even play video games that they love this book. I think the mark of a good book is if you just want to stay in that world and not put the book down and not want the book to end. That is exactly how I felt about this book. Moving on to movies. According to my letterboxd, which I'm also linking in the description of this video, I've seen 79 movies this year. Some of them I saw in theaters, shout out AMC A-List. Some of them were on Netflix, on Max, on Hulu, on Prime. But out of those 79 movies, only 45 of them were actually released this year. So you can go through my letterboxd and see all the movies I watched in 2023. But for the sake of this video, I'm only going to be talking about movies that were released in 2023. As I categorize these movies in a similar fashion, we have concert movies, which in my opinion is just a different category off on the side. Bad / forgettable, so-so, good, really good, honorable mentions, and top tier. I realized that I don't know if this was a great year for movies. I think there were a lot of movies that I was excited about, but I ultimately felt pretty disappointed by them. I'm just gonna quickly run through the top 4 categories and maybe spend more time on the top 2. So in my good category, we have Saltburn, Scream 6, Jules, May December, Hot Potato, yes, the Wiggles documentary, Reality, The Marvels, Quiz Lady, Priscilla, Fair Play, Theater Camp, Golda, Bottoms, Glitch, HQ Trivia. I like random documentaries. No Hard Feelings, Oppenheimer, and 1001. In my really good category, we have Past Lives, Barbie, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, surprised me too, You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, Missing, and The Deepest Breath. I feel like the more time I spend on this list, the more I might actually switch some movies around in different categories. But right now, in my honorable mentions category are 2 films, Are You There God, It's Me Margaret, and The Little Mermaid. I think Are You There God, It's Me Margaret is such a heartwarming film. The acting is excellent, the pacing is great. Wait, I just realized that The Holdovers isn't on here. I think I forgot to put The Holdovers on here. The Holdovers is another movie that I think makes me feel similarly to Are You There God, It's Me Margaret, but The Holdovers is a little bit more mature. So strike that. I would actually put 3 movies in honorable mentions. The Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney live action remake. I feel like I was one of the few people that really loved Aladdin, and this dethroned Aladdin for me. Granted, I have not seen the Cinderella live action, and I know that that's a lot of people's favorites, so that'll be on my 2024 list to watch. But yeah, I just loved it. I sobbed the first time I saw it in theaters. Everything was great except a couple of the songs. Like, I really didn't like Prince Eric's song. It sounded like it was written by AI. And I think whenever Javier Bardem like came out of the water, it just looked so silly. And yeah, The Holdovers I think is a really great, more mature Christmas movie. Now, my top tier category. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. I'm pretty surprised that these movies ended up in my top tier category somehow, but here we go. Judge me if you want. First on the list, in no particular order, is Poor Things. I was fully expecting to hate this film. I wrote this in my Letterboxd review, but I hated Beau is Afraid. And for some reason, watching the trailer for Poor Things, I was like, I feel like it's gonna be kind of pretentious and bizarre and I'm gonna hate it. I also didn't love The Favorite, so that was another reason why I had lower expectations for Poor Things. Maybe Poor Things is ranked so high for me because I saw it really recently and I wasn't expecting to like it at all. It is a very explicit movie, so if you are sensitive to sex scenes, don't watch it. I feel very unaffected by them, so I felt fine watching it. But yeah, be wise about things that you consume. Anyways, I loved Bella's story arc and development, and I just loved her as a character. And it was really funny. Second movie on this list is, surprisingly, Elemental. I had very low expectations for this movie. I had seen online that people didn't like it, they thought it was stupid, they're like, Pixar's losing their touch. I've seen this movie twice now and I've sobbed through the entire thing. There's so many things about it that I think you might like if you are a child of immigrant parents, if you are hot-headed, which I feel like I am a lot of the time. I don't know, I just really like this movie. Next on the list is Joyride. Surprising for me because I don't generally like raunchy comedies, but this one also made me cry. I thought it was really funny, very well acted, loved the cast. It was funnier than I thought it was gonna be, and it had more heart than I thought it was gonna have. And as far as raunchy comedies go, there's like one very, very brief instance of actual nudity. There is a sex scene, but it's all like simulated and you don't actually see anything. So I actually feel like it's probably one of the cleaner raunchy comedies comedies that I've seen. And again, like the story I think is great. And last on my top tier list is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I read the book this summer after finally watching the last two Hunger Games movies for the first time. I was just on a Hunger Games kick, which is weird because I felt like I didn't even like it that much when it was in its heyday. I really liked the book. It's long and it's slow, but I ended up really liking it, and I felt like I was thinking about it for a long time after I finished the book. That being said, I think the movie really did the book justice in a lot of ways. There's some things that I would have changed if I was the one directing the movie, but overall I thought it was a really fantastic, faithful adaptation to the book. And I absolutely loved all the memes that came out of it. So there you go. That's essentially my 2023 wrapped for books and movies. I'm really pumped about all the books and movies that I'm gonna experience next year. And I didn't even talk about TV shows. So hopefully I'll be seeing you a lot more next year. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all of that. It always feels so weird saying that, even though I've come off really confident when I've said that in previous videos. Anyway, I'm done. Bye!